Are we back?
We back.
We are back.
Oh, I can get it from here. Don't worry about it. Yeah, we back.
Are we live?
No countdown. No countdown needed. We live.
All right, we're live. Well, it's great to be back on the Greater Everyday podcast. This is a place where we talk about the real issues. We don't demonize anyone here. We don't deify anyone. We just deal direct and straight. And we are motivated by our faith in everything that we do. For everybody that's on Facebook, that's checking out what we're doing, we're definitely grateful for all the love that you've been showing us over the past several months, and just very, very grateful for the way that God's moving. For everybody that's checking out this podcast later on or wherever you are, we just want to let you know we're very grateful for the opportunity to be able to be on these platforms and really try to spread some love and call people to live a greater life. My name is Will, and I'm here in the studio, Foundation Studios, with my brother.
I'm Anton.
All right.
Welcome back, homie.
That's good to be back.
Yeah.
Good to be back. There's a lot that's been going on.
Yeah.
A lot that's been going on, man.
Summer's been wild. Glad to be mask free.
Yes.
I ain't gonna lie. I'm so happy to be mask free.
Man, everywhere I go, everything I do, I'm like, hey, I ain't trying to go back.
But listen, can I not be the weird guy? Can I not be the guy who walks in and everybody I get the evil looks? Like, you know what I mean? Because that I once upon a time, like, I don't know, like a year ago, like this was not a thing.
Yeah, we weren't wearing masks.
But I go into like a store, I go to Food Lion or something like that, and I get like the,
oh no,
like can we go back? I mean, I don't want to, I don't want to live in the past.
I'm just saying. You know, what's funny, man, is I feel the need sometimes to announce I'm fully vaccinated.
Yeah.
I just want to let you know.
Yeah.
I'm good, man. I'm good. So, but no, it's been real. There's been a lot that's going on in the world. Definitely a lot going on in Potomac Valley. And today we're able to have a great in-person worship, great digital worship. And we got to the end of our 3-week series looking at the Good Shepherd, kind of stories from the Good Shepherd.
Yeah, you know what? Good job, man. You killed the sermon, man.
Amen, bro.
You killed it. I mean, usually like, I'm over here editing, a week and stuff like that. But, watching it on the big screen, upstairs today, I was just like, it was funny when you did you say? You said when you're talking about people who go to church, you said it's like they treat it like a country club. And I was like, and me and someone kind of looked at each other like,
Hey, man. So, man, that's all God. I'm grateful to do my part, man. It's and I'm just inspired by what God's doing. He's really moving in an amazing way. People are stepping up and really giving their hearts, and really exciting to be kind of in this new hybrid space where we're in person and we also have the digital campus going on. It's really cool to see how that's it's a new part of our reality.
Yeah, we're fulfilling needs. I'm glad we didn't just immediately, like let's say 3 weeks ago, just completely get rid of it and wipe it away. Because there's still, I think we opened up a door a year ago, with this and, doing the sermons online. And I think there are just people around the world who needed something and they found it. And so why turn it off?
Yeah, no, absolutely.
It's definitely not a burden. It's difficult, but it's not a burden.
Yeah, no, it's real. And that's our commitment just as a community. We're going to stay here in this space. I know that this is the biggest country in the world is the internet. I mean, there are 3 billion people. More people than are in China are online. And so there's so many ways that we can connect with people. What's cool about content is once you develop the content, it's there and it's just there. And so, someone might access even this podcast 10 years from now or 10 minutes from now or 10 weeks from now, but we're able to put content out into the ether to really promote light and goodness and God's advance. Right. And so, before we go any further, man, I definitely want to give a massive shout out to my man, Logan Kreider, who today was his final day serving with our digital team. And so, yeah. So my man, Logan is moving down to the ATL and he's getting ready to move down to Atlanta. His wife's starting in law school next month, and he's working with Hope Worldwide, helping them with their marketing efforts there to really, bring hope and change lives around the world. And so super grateful for him, but definitely, he's been such a huge part of our team. Yeah. And so, it's a huge loss for us, but a great gain for Atlanta. Yeah. And so,
I remember thinking like, you know, and you think of the word zeal.
Yes.
And I would learn kind of what that word truly means when I started, you know, when I joined the family.
Mm-hmm.
And I was like, okay, that young guy got it.
Mm-hmm. He sure does.
he has it.
He does,
is,
man.
you know, so yeah, big shout to you, bro.
Yeah.
Happy for you and the family. Good luck. Please don't be a stranger. I know that, you know, he's from here, so
right.
But so, you know, make sure you pop through and stop by when you come up and visit, man.
Yeah.
Much love to you.
And super proud of Ashley, you know, she got into multiple law schools, great program there in Atlanta. So you know, she's you know, a champion for people's needs. And so I'm really excited that she's going to be equipped with a law degree to use that passion and zeal to really bring some change in the world.
That's dope. Yeah.
Yeah. So that was really cool. And then today we also talked quite a bit about the missions contribution and kind of where we are going with the missions contribution. So we'll talk on the back end a little bit about that.
Okay.
But I thought it'd be good for us to look at Matthew chapter 25, specifically verse 40.
Okay. Let me get there.
And as we're talking about what it means to be greater.
You said verse 40?
Yeah, verse 40. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. So Matthew 25, verse 40. I don't need my glasses because you got it on the screen.
Hold on. Let me share. Hold on. Let me so everybody can see. Give me a second.
Okay, cool. So if you're joining us on Facebook, you can check this out. If you are listening to this in the podcast, you want to turn to Matthew 25 and verse 40. And it says, the king will reply, truly, I tell you, whatever you did for one of the least of these brothers and sisters of mine, you did for me.
Yeah.
And, you know, this scripture is amazing because it really just points out that, you know, God's message is that it's about how you live. It's not just about like the name on the door. It's not about you saying, well, man, I have doctrinal integrity alone, though doctrinal integrity is important.
Yeah.
It's about whether when someone's hungry, if you feed them, when someone's thirsty, if you meet their need, when someone's sick, if you visit them, you bind them up, you heal the sick, you know, you bring healing into a broken world. When people are incarcerated, that you care about them and you treat them with respect. You know, when people are foreigners, strangers, or immigrants, or however you want to define the other, that you don't otherize them.
Well, not you.
But not you.
Not you. Whatever. How are you treating people that are not you?
That are not you. That's what it's all about. And it's wild that Jesus would explain that if you want to understand who God is, it's all about how you treat other people.
Yeah. I mean, I know that you have been really focusing on people not just saying that they're Christian or announcing that they're Christian or hanging with Christians but not doing
Christian
any of the work. You know, because it's hard to be a Christian.
It is.
And I think sometimes that's, you know, hard work scares people away.
Right.
Definitely scares people away. And understandably, because work. Who's that?
I'm not sure.
Oh. Says you mean. I'm like, I don't know.
It's some buzzing.
Oh, okay. I'm like, that's not a ringtone I have. But yeah, but you know, being a Christian by what you do.
Right.
I'm like, wow, okay. I mean, it means taking responsibility for what you say that you are.
Right.
And that's, you know, understandably difficult, but it's a challenge. What else should you be doing?
Right. Absolutely.
It's fine if you don't, but then don't call yourself a Christian.
Right. But there are over 1 billion people.
Yes.
I mean, out of the 7 billion people on the planet, 1 billion people identify as Christians.
Yeah. I remember you saying it during your scripture, like, we don't need more people. It's 1 billion of us.
Right.
So I'm like,
we need people that are doing it. I mean, think about it for a second. If 1 billion people who identified as Christians chose to feed people, to provide water, to ensure that people that are in prison were visited, to ensure that people who are sick were bound up, to ensure that we're engaging in the world the way that it is, like in a real practical way.
Yeah.
One person could reach 6 people. I mean, we really could change the world if people would embrace Jesus' way. But what happens is there are lots of people that embrace the idea of professing Christianity as if it's kind of a cultural connection instead of a practical faith. It's a way of life. And that's what's so different about what Jesus was ushering in, is he wasn't bringing in a new religion. He was bringing in a different way of living, a different way of seeing the world and living in it in a very practical way. And man, over the past 3 weeks, I've been really blessed to be a part of a doctoral program at Virginia Theological Seminary. And one of those sessions that I've been a part of, one of the classes that I took, brought me in touch with this incredible guy named Bob Johansson. And he's not a Christian author. He's actually a former president, and he's a distinguished fellow at the Institute of the Future in Silicon Valley.
Okay.
And Bob did an incredible talk that I was able to be a part of, where he talked about the fact that the Army War College, they have been doing some incredible work, and many kind of futurists and institutional thinkers in terms of like leadership have identified that we live in what would be described as a VUCA world.
Yeah.
And VUCA means a world that's defined by volatility, a world that's defined by uncertainty. There's a lack of certainty in the world, a world that is defined by complexity, and a world that's defined by ambiguity. So we live in this world, and the pandemic is a great kind of visual example. We live in a world where things are just volatile. Like you don't know what's coming at you. You're uncertain about what's going to happen. The situations are complex. Like, how do you deal with a pandemic and racial reckoning and insecurity and political insecurity and potential violence on the street and, families feeling locked in their houses because of a pandemic and the anxiety associated and substance abuse, like all these things, they're all happening, and they're not like happening one at a time. They're all happening all at the same time. So it's a complex world.
Do you think it's because I think that we've probably dealt with all of those issues, everything that you just said we've been dealing with, but do you think it's because it's been magnified? Do you think it's because we're now dealing with everything at the same time that it's making it so more present?
I think one part of it is that we have more access to information.
Oh, I see.
So I think, like we're talking about the internet, like of the 7 billion people on the planet, 3 billion of them are online. So almost half of the people, and a growing number. So honestly, but I think easily by the end of the decade, when we have about 8 billion people, we might be in a situation where 7 billion of them are online. So there's a proliferation of information. There's a proliferation of misinformation, so fake news,
right?
So there's that, and all of those things are happening. So it's in that context, that volatile, uncertain, complex, ambiguous world, that Matthew 25 verse 40 is so powerful, because Jesus cuts through the noise and he says, in a world of volatility, Jesus brings vision. In a world of uncertainty, Jesus brings understanding. In a world of complexity, Jesus brings clarity. It's about who you are. It's about what you actually do.
Right.
In a world that's ambiguous, Jesus actually fosters an environment where his disciples are agile. They're able to be responsive, because you and I, we're able to talk about these things, but this is not where we live. Where we live is being a part of small groups. So you have a small group that is responsive. So when you're going through something, you got people you can call.
Right.
When I'm going through something, I got people I can call. When we're going through something, we can call each other. So we have a level of agility and relational elasticity and support that most people don't have, which is why God's blessed us with this, that we can give it to others. And that's one of the great blessings of being a part of a Christian community. And it's always been like this. So if you take it back to the earliest Christian communities, in Rome, there were kids that the Romans would throw out. Literally, where we have abortion today, this is not a new practice. Like, this is just kind of what would happen. And the Christian community would take those kids and bring them into their homes and raise them. There was a situation in Rome, or endless situations in Rome, where slaves were mistreated, and the Christian community would be the ones that would serve slaves. And many of them became Christians. And many of the people that were their masters also became Christians. And so the Christian community started to reshape the Roman Empire in some pretty profound ways, because the Christian community was able to touch people at all the different extremes in society and in a way that the Roman Empire just couldn't, because there's a limit to what you can do with money and power.
Right.
But there's no limit to what God can do through relationships. And it's that. So I believe that in this VUCA world, what we need is really believers that understand that the solutions in the world, though they're complex, we actually bring clarity to the world. And clarity is we all belong to each other. Everybody from every racial background, everybody from every economic background, we belong to each other, and we got to love each other. We got to actually deal with the real issues that people are dealing with, and take a minute to step away from ourselves and bring the truth of who God is into the world. And that's what I mean. Like, that's what I experience. That's what you experience. And our community's messed up, right? You know, in Potomac Valley, we got all sorts of issues, but at least we got each other.
Yeah.
You know, and that's a lot.
That's a lot.
You know, and I'm super grateful for that.
Yeah.
You know, and nobody's out here pushing like we got it figured out, or anybody's all, you know, all that. But man, I tell you, in a world where everything's so jacked up, thank God for safe havens, you know?
Well, I mean, I think that it's not simple, but you can start somewhere simple.
You can.
You can get some friends.
Yeah.
Well, you can, number one, decide that you don't know it all.
Right.
So you can start there.
Yeah.
And know that you don't have everything figured out. You can look at yourself and reflect and say, you know what? I don't have all the answers because it's not where I want to be.
Right.
And you can get yourself some friends.
Right.
You know, or some mentors, or somebody who can provide some sort of clarity, like you said, and you know, the time of confusion. And then after that, you can use what you've gained to then turn around and help someone else.
Right.
Like the old adage, each one teach one.
That's it.
I mean, it's very old.
And each one reach one.
It's old for us.
Yeah,
but you know,
but it's real though,
it's
bro.
Real though.
I mean, it's real. I mean, because that's the problem is, you know, you see people and they're just like, you know, like stressing over what's going on in the world and what's going on in society. And look, I think it's the outrage is real, right? You know, things are messed up. You ain't wrong about that. But at some point, you got to move beyond just outrage.
Yeah.
And you got to recognize, like, there are kids in your community that you could mentor. So, yes, I have no problem with people protesting.
Yeah.
Got mad issues with people rioting, because
Mm-hmm.
you don't need to be messing up people's stuff because you're mad, right?
Mm-hmm.
You know, but you can say what you got to say your piece. But then how about you go home and mentor some kids? How about you go home and pick up some trash? How about you go home and build something and deal with something? Because I think what we've got to recognize is there are people that make money off the fact that you are outraged to sell you stuff. So you're outraged, you're like, I'm mad. And they're like, hey, they online, let's try to sell them some sneakers. You know what I'm saying?
Well, I just
know, and so you got to understand that part of the game to see that practical change comes through practical action.
Yeah. I mean, I think more than selling material things, sometimes you see people trying to sell an ideology. Like, well, no, you should, you know, but this is why you should think this. If you're mad at this, this is why you should think this way. And it's like, wait, that doesn't sound very solution oriented to me.
Nope.
It sounds like you're trying to like identify a target for my
outrage.
My outrage. Like, okay, well, whose fault is it? And it's like, what? Okay, well, that's a small part of it. Right. But are you part of the problem? Are you just the people who point their fingers and hang out on the fence? Or are you going to be part of the team that says, okay, well, let's figure out how to cause, you know, figure out to develop a solution.
Yeah.
We need a solution. And how do you do that? And you can't do both. You can't be hanging out, pointing fingers, angry all the time. I'm angry. But like you said, what are you doing when you go home? Probably nothing. Right. Probably going home, hanging out. Like, you know, okay, where are we going tomorrow? Right.
Where else we going to express how outraged we are? And here's the thing. I just want to be clear. I'm not throwing cold water on the fact that people feel stuff.
Yeah.
I think that's the beginning. That is the first it is only right that you should feel a sense of righteous justice and outrage and indignation about the brokenness of the world.
Yeah.
But the thing is, if you are outraged about the brokenness of the world, the answer is not to break it more. You see what I'm saying? The answer is to actually start fixing it.
Clip that part.
I'm just saying for what it's worth.
I'm have to clip that.
And,
I'm the guy who would clip it. So I'm telling myself, clip that.
Clip that, right? Break that junk.
Yeah.
But I think that's the piece, bro, that just kind of hits me and that's why I love what Jesus is about, because like people are like, man, so what's your stance on this? What's your stance on that? And Jesus' response was, let me just show you by what I do.
Yeah.
You want to know what place women have in the world? Let me show you. I'm gonna treat them with respect. I'm gonna lift them up. I'm gonna meet them where they are and honor them for who they are. Like Jesus just shows you by what he does. You want to know how much we belong to each other? I'm gonna show you by how I treat the Roman centurion, not like how I stand with dignity, but I don't tear him down because he is a part of the empire that is oppressing us. Like Jesus just shows us how to be and how to be with people. And I'm trying to figure out in my own personal walk and trying to encourage my kids and trying to encourage our community to get out of the trap of the outrage game and to be about the work of actually making change in the world. And I think we need change. The world is messed up. It does need to change, but that change has got to start with me. It's got to start with you. Start with the way we love people, the way we raise our kids, the way we care about our community,
Yeah, I mean, it can't be, you have to be upset,
right?
But then go out and do something. Don't say, all right, well, hey, you over there, go over, go be a part of the change. I'm gonna stay over here and be mad. Yeah, all right. It's like, no, you have to do it. Like you said, if everybody took responsibility, a lot of the problems that we have would be resolved pretty quickly.
Right.
Hunger.
Right. And here's the thing. I mean, we reach out to people on both political spectrums, right? And I'm not confused. Like I love them. I love the people on both sides of the political fence. There's lots of good people.
You said today, we get reds and blues. Just for a second. For a second, I was like, no, got to be Republicans and Democrats. Can't be Bloods and Crips.
Bloods and Crips, not.
Right? So for a second,
you're like, oh no. Hey, but what's funny? What's funny about this whole thing is, people were like wilding out about how violent and crazy the Bloods and Crips were out in LA. But man, I don't know, man. Hey. Yo, the Reds and Blues today, I'm like, I don't know, it's wild how people be talking about these people, they're so uncivilized. I'm thinking, hold up, you mean humanity?
Yeah.
Because humanity is broken, dude.
Yeah.
And real talk, what I know is that there are good people, right?
Mm-hmm.
But they don't know what they're doing.
No.
You know what I'm saying? And there comes a point in your life where you got to stop looking for somebody to come save you and recognize people don't know what they're doing. Like if they could have fixed this, they would have fixed this.
Yeah.
They have tried. Maybe we need something else. And maybe it's not. Maybe the answer is not in politics. Maybe the answer is not in money. Maybe the answer is in the way that we think about each other and then what we do with that.
Yeah.
And that's why I believe, without a shadow of a doubt, there is only one solution, and it is actually to follow Jesus. Now, I got mad love for people that don't follow Jesus. You know what I'm saying? Like, you don't follow Jesus. But here's what's interesting. Some of those people say they believe that Jesus existed.
Right.
But I'm like, how about you read what he said and just try it? Like, give it a scientific try.
At worst.
You're
a better person.
You know what I'm saying?
You're probably one of the best people.
Right.
At worst.
So we don't tear down women. Don't tear down men. Don't demonize people. Don't deify people. When people are hungry, give them food. When they're thirsty, give them drink. When they're in prison, treat them with respect. When they're the other, you don't otherize them. Mm-hmm. Like, choose a different way of being in the world. If you could just try that for a week, your blood pressure would go down. You save some money, man. You save some money on a bunch of stuff.
Yeah.
And you might find that you might want to try that for a month. I've been trying it now for a couple of years, and it's changed everything about me. And I'm not a good person. We're just people.
Yeah, just people.
So it's not like I'm not coming from this place where I'm, spiritual and I just always have great, wonderful butterfly thoughts. Like, I struggle, man, every day just to do this thing. But I got to be honest, I have not found anything else in my 46 years of living that makes more sense than treat people right.
Well, I think that what you're doing and what you're saying is because you struggle because impulsively,
Right.
It's something different.
It is.
Impulsively, you probably don't want to love people
Nope.
or this or that, or, you have certain thoughts or feelings or something like that. But because you've decided to follow Jesus's way, now it's hard because you're kind of almost going against yourself.
Absolutely. No, there's no question. I love people that love me. Straight up. I'm like a normal person.
Yeah.
Like I love people. I don't love people that don't love me naturally. If you don't like me, I'm like, cool.
Okay.
I don't want to deal with you.
Yeah.
But my belief, our faith teaches me it's the people that are mean and horrible to me that I got to treat the same way as I would treat the people that love me. Now, let me just be clear. I'm not talking about bringing toxic people into my life. I'm not talking about being a doormat. I'm not talking about some weird, masochistic, martyr syndrome. I'm just saying if someone's ugly, I'm not going to hit fire with fire, though I want to.
Right.
And so I want to. So I got to go in the corner and pray. I got to go in the closet and pray because I got to treat you right no matter how you treat me. How different would the world be?
But I think that's the issue, is that we have so many people who are just running on impulse, running on how they feel. Boom. Like how I feel right now is this. So I'm gonna, I'm gonna show that to the world. And if you don't like it, I don't care. Right. And the world is about my feelings, and
I got to be my authentic self.
And I have to show my truth.
Yeah.
And it's like,
hey, I got to speak my truth. I respect that. You want to speak your truth. That's cool.
That's for another podcast.
You know what I'm saying? That's cool, man. I understand. But at some point, it might be good to follow the truth. And the truth is you are just as messed up as the people that you're talking about.
Yeah.
So this is the thing, that's, I think there's this false savior mentality that we have. Like, oh man, the Republicans are going to save us. Oh man, the Democrats are going to save us. Oh man, this is going to save us. And I'm like, no, none of those people are going to save you. Like, there's only one God.
It's assuming that they're better than you.
It's assuming something that's not true.
They're not greater than you. They're just like you.
Now, I'm not saying there aren't people that are just crazy, right? So I just want to make sure I think there are situations in which you cannot say this is equal to that. So there are people that are, self-absorbed and truly toxic, destructive people that we don't need them in the equation of trying to put them forward as solution makers. I'm with that.
But somehow they're always there.
Somehow they're
always in the mix.
You know what it is, though? It's because people be using those people to get done what they don't want to do. They have those people do their dirty work.
Yeah. They know they don't care.
They don't care. But here's the thing. They're being used too. And I think we got to recognize that's why, as much as it goes against my own impulse, I have a commitment that I am not going to condemn those people to hell, because that's not my call. Like, I don't get to choose that, because if we were going to condemn anybody to hell, man, I deserve it, man.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? So I'm like, look, and I hear people, they get on their high horse and they're like, that person is awful. And I'm like, have you taken a good look at yourself?
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Because what you're doing right there, that's somebody's child. That they might be messed up. I don't know how they got there. I don't know what their experience was like with their mama or their daddy. I don't know if they didn't get hugs. I don't know how they got to that place. But I think we've got to be careful to not tear down other human beings, because in the process, we empty ourselves of our own humanity. And I think we got to see that's the game. The game, I believe, from Satan is for me to stop thinking about you like you're a human being.
Yeah, you got it.
And what we got to recognize, these are people messed up. If you want to say that person shouldn't do that job,
yeah, that's like you say all the time. You don't demonize, but you don't deify either.
Nah,
you're just not it for this.
Not it for that.
You
shouldn't be doing that job. Yeah. That's cool. I'm cool with saying the person shouldn't be doing that job, but that person's still a person. Yeah. So we got to treat people like people, and don't let people tell you not to treat people like people. That's how they got sideways in Rwanda, man. They got on the airwaves and they're like the Hutus and the Tutsis and they're cockroaches and and the people got yeah. And then before you know it, boom, violence in the street. Because once you divorce yourself of people's humanity, you can do a lot of horrible things to them. And there is a force at work in the world that is not human, that is actively trying to pit brother against brother, sister against sister, family against family. And all of us are family. We're one family. And that's what Matthew 25:40 is all about. Everybody is Jesus in disguise.
Yeah.
Now, I'm not saying that ain't easy.
No.
That's easy, because it's not easy for me. Because
No.
I'll be honest with you, I hear stuff sometimes, it just makes my blood boil, man. I'm like, man.
I just get confused. I think I'm past the angry phase.
Yeah.
I just don't understand sometimes how is it that you've come to believe the things that you believe sometimes. I'm like, well, how did we get here? How did we get to a place where you can accept that as being
cool?
Yeah, like that's just not cool.
No.
It's like it's not cool. Sometimes it's not intelligent. It's not moral. It's not but that seems to be the vibe. Yeah. It's like, but it's emotional.
It is. But you know what, man?
It is like, because it's emotional and it's my truth, you know, then it's just we have to be like, oh, well, okay. Well, that's not how community, that's chaos. It's chaos. It's not community. Chaos.
But honestly, I think that's why this journey that we've gone on over the past 3 weeks has been so important, is because I think we got to recognize there are different roles that people play. And there are so many people that are like sheep. They're just led by their feelings. And there's so many people that are like goats. They're just led by their instincts. But we need a greater number of shepherds to step up. And there's some people that they're cool until it gets hot. They're like the hired hand. Like they peace out. Things get hot, and they're like,
nope,
they're like, oh, I'm out. Like I'm out. And the pandemic showed me that. Like I'll be real with you. Like I looked, and there were some people I was counting on. Like, dude, I thought you were going to be a shepherd, and I was like crickets. Like nobody heard nothing from you, and it wasn't like a month, 2 months. It's been like years. 15 months. You ain't saying nothing.
Yeah.
And I understand maybe you were unsure what to say in the first 15 minutes. But 15 months, if you ain't said nothing, then I don't know that I want to be in a fight with you, man. Yeah. And I'm not saying that I demonize you. I'm not saying not canceling you. I'm just saying that when it goes down, I just know that you're not a ride or die brother. I just know that. I'm like, okay. You know, that's cool. And I want you to be safe.
Yeah.
But what I recognize is we've got to speak truth. Not our truth, God's truth, that we all belong to each other.
What I would say is, if you do identify, okay, so if you're that guy, when you in trouble happened and you came and you thought you were the guy or the girl, and you've figured out through reflection that you're not it, that's not necessarily a bad thing.
Huh.
Okay, that's not necessarily a bad thing, because now some self-reflection on your part can start, and maybe you say, okay, well, whenever you make it through that emotional point,
right,
of like, I'm not talking to anybody, I'm locking down,
boom,
this, I'm that. Once you make it through that, because you have to make it through that,
right?
You have to. Once you make it through that point, you're gonna heal,
right?
And you have to reach out, because you don't want to be stuck in the void,
right?
You know, I don't want to make things good or evil, but you know, being in the middle is just as bad, I think,
right?
You know, because you know, you don't really know.
It's an interesting thing. Yeah. You can't be neutral, but you got to be willing to stand in the middle. So it's interesting. You got to stand in the middle between the two sides, but you can't. That's not a position of neutrality. That is a position of engagement, which is a really interesting thing. If you're indifferent, which is what neutrality often is, like, whatever, I don't care. Like I can't be indifferent to humanity. I'm not going to say, oh no, I don't care about whatever happens. Like, yeah, like I'm not going to support you tearing people down based on the color of their skin. I'm not going to support you tearing people down based on who they want to vote for. Vote for whoever you want to vote for. That's on you. That's you. That's cool. If you want to have guns or not have guns, that's on you. That's you. Like I may have a different approach. I may have a different idea. But here's the thing I think that is tricky in our world is sometimes people are indifferent and they are apathetic, and they say, well, I'm just not taking sides. But there's
Switzerland.
It's Switzerland. And there's no Switzerland here. Yeah. What we're saying is Christianity requires engagement. in a very dangerous way, engagement on both sides with both groups of people to bring people together. This is the nature of being a peacemaker, is a position of engagement. I don't know how to do that well. So I'm not talking about it like, oh, and here's a book on engagement. Like, this is hard because there are things on the left that I identify with. There are things on the right that I identify with. And so, but it's not about who I identify with or what I identify with. It's what does God want us to do?
Yeah.
How would God have me be? And what does God's word say about this issue? And because I don't live to myself. I die to myself. We live in community, you know, and that's why this stuff's a struggle, man.
It is.
But I'm glad that we get to struggle in this together.
Yeah.
Man. You know, I mean,
how
really,
you're struggling it's
cool.
So much better to struggle with family.
It is.
You know, it's so much better. I've struggled alone. You know, I've struggled with my immediate family. But you know, struggling with your brothers and sisters in Christ is so much. I mean, it sounds crazy. I know. Like you say, oh, I'm going through this, I'm going through that. Ask somebody. Right. Ask somebody who, like, you know, who had a situation, and then watch like an army of people, you know, blow your phone up or this or that, you know, ready to like help. Like, oh, okay,
right,
let's do it.
Right.
You know, watch an army of people when you go through a sickness or, you know, something happened to your house or something like that, and have, you know, you're going to struggle. Things are going to happen. It's a certainty. You're not, I mean, I don't know anyone who's gone through life and not had challenges.
Right.
So if you know that, and you know, just sit back and think about everybody that you know, or just think about the first 5 people who you can think of that you know intimately.
Right.
And then ask yourself, has anything significant happened in their life? And the answer is 100% yes.
Right.
All right. And then think about, okay, so that means if it hasn't happened to you yet, it's going to happen.
Right.
And then look around and see who you have that's going to have your back.
Right.
And ask yourself, why do they have your back?
Right.
Is it because of some selfish reason? Is it because you're wealthy, or you have a lot of food, or you're knowledgeable, or is it because they're following God's law?
Right.
I'll take that.
Yeah.
Because I've had wealthy people behind me. I've had knowledgeable people behind me. I've had all of these other things.
Right.
But having people who are there because they love God is something completely different.
Absolutely. And I think, you know, today, you know, in the in-person service, we talked a little bit in the contribution. We talked about Nehemiah chapter 4. And in Nehemiah 4, you know, this is when they like had reached the halfway point with building the wall. Mm-hmm. And they were facing like real opposition from like Sanballat and Tobiah and the other people that were opposing the Israelites at the time. And, you know, Nehemiah prays to God, and then he tells everybody, all right, I'm going to put you at the wall with your family. And you're going to have a sword or a spear or a javelin in one hand, and you're going to have your work instrument in another.
Yeah.
And there's something that happens when you know who you're fighting for and who you're fighting with, and you're with your family. And I think what we've got to recognize is that's where we are right now. We're in a place in this world where, first off, we have to recognize we are all family, and that we are facing real opposition. And this opposition is not partisan opposition. It might seem that way,
yeah,
but that's just one layer of the reality. There's a spiritual opposition to the very idea that we are human, that we belong to each other. That this is a fight for the soul of humanity, not the soul of a country, not the soul of a party. This is for the soul of humanity. That's what's at stake. And so we are stationed at the wall. And, you know, and I'm fighting for my kids to see that, you know, we can belong to each other. You know, as you're fighting for your kids, and we're fighting for our kids, and we're fighting for our community and our country and our world. And it's wild recognizing that truth, recognizing that VUCA reality means that in a world of volatility, we got to have vision. We got to be able to see it for what it is. In a world of uncertainty, we got to have understanding. We got to really understand what's going on. It's like the men of Issachar. You got to know what time it is. You got to know what Israel should do. You got to understand the world is changing, and the world that is complex requires clarity. The world that is ambiguous requires us having agility. And so as we dig deeper into these podcasts going forward, we're going to talk a little bit more about how we build agile, responsive communities that really address the real issues that are in the world. But I think that's the thing I'm really excited about from, September into the rest of the year. I really want us to talk a little bit more about how do you actually do this? Because I think we have agreement that we need to do it.
Yes.
And you and I, we have a lived experience of doing it. Like, it's not perfect, but we're doing it, right? But I think for everybody that's listening, we want you to know, we want to really provide some practical how-tos. Like, how do you actually do that? How do you actually build that?
Yeah.
I think that's going to be the game, man.
So let's talk about the future a little bit before we jump. We got about 5 minutes.
Yeah.
So let's talk the immediate future.
Yes.
The future. I don't know what's going to happen. Hopefully.
The future is now.
Yeah, I know. Right. Like you said, I don't want to scare anybody. I don't want to see everybody seem like it's gloom and doom.
Yeah.
But we need to have good conversations.
Yeah.
So when are we coming back?
All right. So I'm thinking that we come back right in the fall. So we come back right in September 1st.
Okay.
First Sunday in September, we come back. So we'll take here in the, 2 weeks in July and all of August to really just listen and dig deep. And I want to encourage everyone that's listening to the podcast, send us an email to the Greater Everyday Podcast at gmail.com.
Yep.
And tell us what you're thinking. We're going to take some time to do some thinking, some reflecting, some reading, some praying. And I think it's important to be able to move forward. We need to step back and we need to just do some deep reflection.
Yeah. If you guys, I monitor the Facebook account. I monitor the Gmail account. If there's something you want to talk about that you want me to hop on a live stream, I am here. I'm working, doing God knows so much stuff.
Yes, you are.
And trying to do more. It's crazy.
That's how it works.
yes. More
You want to
responsibility.
get something done, you give it to a busy person.
Yeah, it's more responsibility. So, So if I could, you need me to hop on, I can pull some guests in. We can do some things. Please reach out if you got something on your heart. And if you need somebody to talk to, we have people.
We got people.
We have workers.
Yeah. And if you want to be somebody that helps out.
Yeah.
So, feel free to reach out to us too. You might say, man, I'm going through something. I need somebody to help me. But you might also say, man, I built up a reserve of skills. I want to be able to offer myself to help. We welcome all the help we can get, because truly it is an exciting time to be alive.
Yeah. So you guys heard it here. This is the last podcast for the summer. We will be back the first week of September, God willing.
Sure will.
Okay, unless something crazy happens. But it's not the last content. You'll see us other places.
Yeah.
Don't worry about that. But thank you for your continued support, the GEP. We're missing one of our guests.
Yes. Miss Tasha's rocking and rolling. She'll be with us in the fall. So we're looking forward to that.
So, and we'll have more guests. We'll have more topics to discuss and solutions to think of. We'll have all that good stuff. But it's been real. I appreciate the time, my brother.
Always, man.
And enjoy the reflection time.
Amen. You know it.
Yeah. So, but with that being said, let's get out of here.
As always, this is the Greater Everyday Podcast. We try our very best to demonize no one, deify no one, just deal straight. So we pray that wherever you are, whatever you're doing, listening to this program, that you make a choice to be greater every day. Stay cool, stay true. Catch you on the other side.
See you guys.
Peace.